Okay, first episode of Cooking with Coach Gardner. It's a working title. I don't know that that's what we're going to call it. But I just wanted to kind of start this off and kind of drag my feet. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to jump in. We're going to kind of learn as we go, figure out what this really is going to be. Kind of going to start off with the first recipe to kind of give us the idea. I posted a picture of some Italian beef on Twitter. A bunch of dudes wanted the recipe, so I gave it away. But I also thought, I'll just share my love of football, love of cooking. Go around, maybe visit other coaches in the area, introduce people. I've only been in Utah for a few years, but I've really made some good friends in our coaching fraternity. And a couple of the guys really like to cook, so why not jump in and start cooking with these guys, sit down, talk ball, tell their stories, see if we can learn from each other, and maybe just a good excuse to go hang out with a football guy and eat good food. So we're going to jump into the Italian beef recipe. I am going to list all the ingredients and all that kind of stuff, but just be warned, I'm not a recipe guy. I just kind of wing it to a degree, but this is something I grew up eating, so I kind of stay close to what it is, because I want it to taste like what Mom made. Obviously, I've made some changes. Food in general has changed from the mid-'80s when I was eating this to now. So there's some changes, some things that make it easier, some things that I think that you have to kind of hold true to. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that we want a pretty cheap piece of meat, right? Like, we don't want anything crazy. We want something that has enough connective tissue that can handle 8 hours of cooking. So we've got a cheap roast, right? You could do a better roast, more expensive roast, that's great. But I'm going cheap. In fact, this is a bargain bin, last second kind of roast. So we're gonna keep the cost down, we're gonna have delicious food, it's gonna be great. So first thing is we're gonna salt this. We're gonna salt this pretty heavily. We gotta salt all the way through the meat, right? So we can't, it's not just the top layer, so don't freak out with how much salt. Okay, so we got some salt in there. We're gonna get some pepper. Fair amount of pepper. This is spicy. There are probably ways to make it less spicy. Again, that's not how Mom made it, so we're gonna stick with that. We're gonna put all the juice from the peppers in. We've got a ton of black pepper in there. You can obviously limit the juice, limit the pepper. If it's just too spicy for them. The next thing is my mom used to put in a bunch of different seasonings, all this different stuff. And so what I do is I just buy the Zesty Italian salad dressing mix, right? Like, always have it in the house for marinades. I'll probably only never use it for dressing, but this is a great use for it. So I'm getting all of those seasons and spices and all stuff that makes Italian dressing great without adding the liquid. So we want a really intensely flavored sandwich. It's essentially that's how we eat it at the end. So a couple packs of the Zesty Italian seasoning. Okay. Mom used to put a bunch of garlic powder. I do garlic cloves, so a whole head of garlic. Some of you might think that's a lot, but as I've said in the past, when other people ask me about my things I cook, like, really, you put a whole head of garlic in there? I'm like, well, they don't sell half heads, so whole head goes in. The next thing that's going to go in are onions. These things are going to cook for 6 hours. They're going to stew down to pretty much nothing. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be anything. This is a very, simple dish. It doesn't have to be precision cuts or slices. I don't put a lot of worry into it because they give up everything they have throughout the cooking process. They're pretty much completely cooked through and kind of just hanging out with the You're going to get all the flavor, you're going to get the moisture, but I don't spend a lot of time making pretty cuts on it because it really isn't going to matter. They're going to break down to almost nothing. So we just go through. Now they are going to cook for 6 to 8 hours, so we'll give them at least a decent amount of width. We don't want to make them so small that they just disappear. Again, if you are a big onion fan, chop a bunch of onions. If your family's not a big onion family, obviously it's up to you how much you put in. So, a little bit about me as we're going through these onions. I'm here in Park City, Utah. kind of a long, windy trip out here. I originally started off in Riverton, Illinois. It's my alma mater, it's where I'm from. It's where I kind of grew up between there and Decatur, Illinois. Kind of bounced back and forth with mom and dad working in Decatur and Springfield. Got into coaching pretty late. Got in when I was 29. Got an opportunity to come home and coach in my hometown, which was great. It was an amazing opportunity. I got a chance to coach there for quite a while. I actually coached a bunch of sports. Coached wrestling, I knew nothing about. Coached track, ended up being a head track coach. Had a lot of fun with that. Just really enjoyed coaching. I actually think coaching some of those other sports actually made me better at coaching football. And then, some of you in Illinois will know, the finances from the state government weren't great. We had a lot of rifts. There was a lot of change in our administration. And so I went looking elsewhere, kind of see what opportunities there were for me and my wife. I had lived in St. Louis kind of in my early 20s and got away from Springfield. And so when I first started dating my wife, she was actually in Springfield. And when I made the move back home to Riverton, we were kind of in a race. First one to find a job in the other one's area. And I won that race. And I think she was kind of maybe missed out, or felt like she missed out from living in maybe a bigger area. So we moved to Missouri. All right, so we moved to Missouri. Went to Washington, Missouri, Blue Jays, a little BJP, a little Blue Jay Pride. We're there for 2 seasons. Had an amazing time. Was afforded a lot of great opportunities by my coaches I coached with there. Whether it be the head coach, defensive coordinator, they just had they were really, really, really welcoming and opening to kind of the new guy that showed up and kind of spouted off a little bit too much probably. And we had an amazing time. We had an amazing turnover. The first year we were 1-9. The next year we did well enough I regionally get a bye. Really had some great advances. I got to do kind of run the strength and conditioning, which was something that I had a real passion for. And then our head coach had an amazing opportunity and moved on. And so I applied for the head job, did not get it. Truthfully, not ready for that job. But just decided, let's look around again. We moved from Springfield to Missouri, and the world didn't end. We actually enjoyed ourselves, enjoyed the new area. So we started looking around, and that's how I kind of talked to Coach Montezingo, the head coach here at Park City, and it struck a chord. In light of his ideals and what he thinks is important to run a program, to really align with mine. In fact, when we talked, we were so similar. It was really, really eerie. So the next thing goes in after the pepperoncinis and all the liquid is the beef broth or beef bouillon. The big trick to this is whatever it says on the package to do. Like if it says mix with 2 cups of water, done. You want to make this at least double strength, right? You want to make this strong. This whole thing, everything we're adding to this is really bold flavors. And so we're going to add this bouillon stock mix. All right, we're going to add 2 of them. And I think the instructions are 3 cups of liquid. So if we take the cup of liquid from the pepperoncinis and a couple cups of the champagne of beers, we'll kind of get to that 3 cups. All right, so we're going to add that, and then here comes the champagne of beers. Whatever beer you want to use is great. If you don't want to use beer, don't use beer. It doesn't have to be anything good. In fact, I'm not a big beer drinker. The one that sits in the back of the fridge for 2 months, that's the perfect beer for this. Not really something you'd want to drink. So after it's all our ingredients are in, we're going to start the crock pot. We're going to put it on high for 6 to 8 hours. And it is 6 to 8 hours. Depending on how the size of the roast, the connective tissue of the roast, all those things matter. So it's going to smell amazing. About 2 hours in, 4 hours in, you're going to be eating your own fists trying to hold back. But give it time. It should pull apart. It should kind of release and shred like pulled pork or something like that. And that's what we're looking for, that nice, smooth, luxurious kind of mouthfeel on this beef. Right? We want to make these beautiful sandwiches. So give it 6 hours before you even check it. At 6 hours, you can go in there and see if it shreds. Give it 8, give it 9, whatever it takes. Just patience, right? As all coaches love to say, trust the process. Sure, you got to trust the process here. Thanks for watching. This has been interesting. We'll see how this goes. I'm excited. I think the next episode we're going to talk to our D-line coach. He's a foodie like I am, like most of you will be. And the guy's got every tool, gadget, thing in the world. Who knows what he's going to come up with. But we're also going to talk not about the food, but we're also going to talk about his experiences. So Jason's had a unique path. He started off in youth football. 3 years ago, he went from youth football. He came to the freshman team. And then this last year, he came up to varsity and coached our defensive line. Did an unbelievable job. We ran a new defense this year. We're in a 3-5-3. And Jason, in his first year coaching defensive line at the varsity level, got 4 all-region players off a 3-man front. So he had a tremendous year. And I just want to introduce him because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that maybe want to make that move from youth to varsity, and maybe his experiences and his expectations and kind of what he went through to help one of you guys out. So we're going to get this going. We're going to come back. I'm going to have the finished product for you here. Probably, like I said, 6 to 8 hours. We're going to be patient. This is, and I got to get another one going too because this is actually a gift. I'm going to give this to our head coach and his family for the holidays to kind of help them. His wife's a doctor and their schedule gets crazy, so I'm going to make them a few meals. We're going to take that over as a gift. But it would be unfair to my family to make one and not keep one at the house. So I can make a second one here in a second. Okay, so the Italian beef is done. I actually cooked it overnight. Now comes kind of the final steps. It's gonna try to pull it out. Okay. And so then I can start to, notice I just push, it starts to yield. The big step now, maybe the most labor intensive piece of the whole thing is we have to take the stems off of the pepperoncinis. I guess you didn't have to. They've been cooked. They're soft. They're not a choking hazard or anything. I just, maybe it's just a visual thing. I don't care for them. I do know that there are some people that will take all the pepperoncinis and the stems and just give them a whirl in the blender, kind of chop it up. But like I said, for me, a lot of this is the way I grew up. So this is the last bit of love that goes into it. We're just gonna pull some of the peppers out and just kind of slowly work our way through the peppers and the onions, looking for stems. And so just kind of pull them off and then work through the whole bit. Once it's done, you've got all that the meat actually pulled, right? So all the meat's coming apart, nice and easy. Put it back in, let it kind of soak those juices back up, bring the temperature down. And then we serve it on big hoagie rolls with mustard, and my wife likes provolone on hers, a little bit of cheese. It's really simple. But yeah, this is the last bit. And this for me, we were talking about in Park City, I'm the defensive coordinator. This is my third season. This last season is my third season here. First season was about culture. It was about changing the way the program was ran for the experience of the kids, of the players. And we got pretty lucky in the first year. Got kind of hot at the end of the year. Won a playoff game. And then we just kind of keep progressing. And year 3 was a great year for us. We actually made a semifinal run. It was a ton of fun. Got a lot of guys back. But you can see the culture change was huge for us. We are definitely a team. We're really a team. we're not going to scare anybody getting off the bus. We have to do the little things right all the time in order to be competitive, especially in our division. We're just, I think a lot of times people think that they're small, but when your biggest kid's 210 pounds, that's pretty small, especially in Utah. Like the biggest thing between Illinois, Utah, Missouri is that the size of the linemen here. They're just bigger across the board. Really, my hometown, Riverton, we've actually had some big lines for the 3A school in Illinois, but we routinely see 6'6", 270. Maybe a couple teams we played had 3 or 4 guys like that, and we just eventually we have to put a 175-pound guard on a 330-pound tackle, and so how we do things is as important as what we do, and we feel like our kids really are starting to do things the right way, which for a coach is really all we can ask. We can't control our talent, we can't control a lot of those things, but getting our kids to play the right way, care about each other, really is the goal, and that's it's one of the things that Coach Montezinho and I talked about whenever we were on the phone and trying to figure out how to get all the logistics of moving 20 hours to work out. And so it has so far. When we're excited about next year, we've returned like 6 or 7 on both sides of the ball, maybe 8. That's always hard to tell too. Like we had some really young kids step up and play for us, some sophomores on the line. We had some injuries, so we said 6, 7 each side, but like realistically, we have another 3 or 4 kids that played a ton. I talked about with Coach Miller that we had 4 all-region defensive linemen on a 3 front, so we've got some depth. We're super excited. We need to get bigger. We need to grow. We need to eat. Try to be more varsity size ready. Our bodies kind of were breaking down on us a little bit towards the end. There's one that got away from me. Yeah, and so you just want to take your time with this and just, I don't know. Like I said, it probably wouldn't be anything drastic or bad if you got a stem, but I don't know. It just doesn't look very good. But yeah, just going to pick through this and shred the beef and then take it over to Coach's house. Kind of experiment a little bit. I told you I was going to do a second one for my family. If we have to sit there and smell it the whole time, that we should get the benefits. We did it a little bit different in a Dutch oven. Never really done it in one of my Dutch ovens, so it'll be interesting how that turns out. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions or comments, you can always leave it in the comments below. You can always hit me up on Twitter.